All right, folks, here for the evening commute home, and we are going to stop and charge up on the way home. I'd do it tomorrow morning when the battery would be a bit lower, except that I don't have time before my morning meeting. So just going to do it this way tonight and get her charged up. I only have to charge up about once every 8 days. This is Tesla FSD 13.2.2 in a 2025 Model 3 um, rear-wheel drive long range version. And I am ready to rumble, so we'll just take off here a sec. I'm going to switch my app on my phone over, and we're off. The route it's going to take out of here tonight will be interesting. It is rush hour, so there should be quite a bit of traffic. We're going to stay in standard mode. I've already done all my hurry mode tests and have been super unimpressed overall. Hurry mode in our area is not good. For one, it doesn't hurry oftentimes when it should. For two, it hurries in the worst spots and almost gets in car wrecks and does dangerous things. I find standard and chill both to be much better in our area and have a very low number of disengagements in standard and chill versus a pretty high number in hurry. Basically because hurry is more oblivious to traffic. Nicely done. I knew that vehicle wasn't going very fast. That was to my left and just went for it. Wish it would get a little smarter right here. This becomes a signal that we probably won't make because traffic is really slow going through and it doesn't stay green for very long. If I get lucky here and make this, I'll be super happy. Nope, but I may be the first car not to make it. Who's gonna go now? They're gonna go. So my car will turn. It's got to watch out for U-turners on the other side. Quite a few people U-turn right there. But we got out perfectly. We're preconditioning for the charger right now. We'll see how warm the battery gets by the time we get there. I can see quite a bit of traffic on Waze, but not on the nav on Tesla nav. Unfortunately, I find that Tesla's navigation, while it does show traffic sometimes, it's not nearly as up-to-date or accurate as Waze is. And from a standpoint of FSD, FSD doesn't really seem to care about seeing that traffic. While that might matter to you if you're driving, I've seen FSD go rushing right up to high-speed traffic, especially in hurry mode, oblivious that that heavy traffic is right around a bend, and it should know about it because the nav is showing it, but it doesn't even slow down until it actually sees it, which is too late, because hurry's going way too fast and has to either slam on the brakes itself or I have to intervene and slam on the brakes to hope not to rear end the cars in front of me. And so that is a current bug, I think, and limitation in Tesla FSD is that it really doesn't pay attention to like the nav traffic much and compensate for what's on there. Like I say, it's not as good as Waze traffic anyway, but even when it does show traffic in the right spots, it doesn't seem to heed the traffic and adjust its behavior for the upcoming traffic. So while I love FSD .2.2 and the whole 13 series of FSD really, it's still got its limitations. Exit signs like here, where there is a 20-mile-per-hour sign, because this is a very sharp exit, it'll come cooking in there a lot of times at 60. See, we got a 20 ramp right there. We got a 20 straight ahead of us right here, and we're still going 50. When will it switch to a slower speed limit? It still thinks 60, still thinks 60, still thinks 60. We're lucky this isn't backed up. Wow, it just changed to 25 finally. This backs up sometimes all the way around that bend, but at a point where it can't see that traffic because of the bushes and trees and things. And so it'll come around that corner, especially in hurry mode, but even in standard tonight it would have done it. If that had been backed up there, it would have come flying around that corner at 40 plus into dead stop traffic. We were actually fortunate that for whatever reason, maybe because we're supposed to get some snow and ice, that people probably lit out of work a little early, so that wasn't backed up like it usually is there. So we got a win tonight, but I was extremely nervous about that 60-mile-per-hour speed limit still showing up until we were 3/4 away around that 20-mile-per-hour corner. And that tells you that it does not read the signs. Does not read. People are always telling me, oh, it reads speed limit signs. No, it uses speed limits on map data. And if that map data is wrong, then it goes the wrong speed limit. That's why people are like, well, it didn't see that sign, but saw the next sign for the same speed limit. No. It's because it doesn't read the signs. That other sign was completely visible on the straightaway, possibly more visible than where it actually slowed down. Also, it will slow down to the speed limit in between any signs. If that's what the map data shows, the speed limit is now this at this point. Doesn't need a sign. It'll be like, oh, speed limit changed to 35 half a mile ago. There's no sign now, and it just all of a sudden realizes it's 35 magically. No, because of the map data. The map data is wrong and not showing the 35 beginning where it's supposed to, and that's one of the rubs. And that's how I know if it does read speed limit signs, it must do it in a very limited number of situations, because I think it's relying almost entirely on map data for speed limits right now, because of the proof that I have of the fact that it completely ignores speed limit signs and then changes the speed limit where there is no sign correctly, just way late oftentimes. And also signs like that where it completely ignores signs that say 20 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour, and it's like, oh well, I don't care. Has no clue. And in fact, what it did there is it doesn't switch from 60 down to 20, it changes from 60 to 25, which is what the street speed coming up is. It thinks you can do the whole off-ramp basically at 60, even though it's extremely tight and only a 20. So I think it's got to learn to read, not necessarily read letters, but read symbols, shapes, I mean, essentially. And the shapes, it has to match up to shapes it has that mean things. Either that, or else Tesla is going to have to pay to get highly detailed and accurate map data. Here we go, exiting to head to the Supercharger. I'm hopeful if I get 13.2.5 or 6, I think it was actually, at least sometimes I saw it actually obeying like the flashing yellow lights for a school zone, which this one does not, 13.2.2, at least not around here, and really has some struggles with any school zones at all, whether it be flashing lights, when lights flash, or when children are present, or just 20 in general, white sign um, up near a school zone. Might be an all day 20 basically, and it just ignores those. I haven't had it obey one once, and I go through 6 or 7 school zones a week. So that's another one where, if anybody on 13.2.2 has gotten it without any lead cars in front of it to slow down in a school zone, it must have some map data about that school zone, whereas apparently it does not here. And again, now I've seen on some 13.2.5.6, it responding absolutely, definitely correctly to a when lights are flashing school zone sign and slowing right down. So very cool. I'm hopeful that is a feature that is really becoming consistent. Maybe it was supposed to be in this version, and that's why they didn't mention that they changed it, and they've sort of snuck it in one of the dot releases. Because obviously, if they're going to do robotaxi, they got to understand school zones, flaggers, and flagger behavior, right? Not just that there's a stop and a slow, but that you have to stay stopped until the slow, right? Um, Going slower in construction zones, going slower when there's heavy traffic shown on the nav ahead. Doesn't matter which mode you're in, hurry, standard, chill, it should go. Wow, people asleep at the wheel in front of me. Somebody's distracted. Oh, doing a U-turn. Good Tesla. Way to be patient with the folks. Hey, Supercharger's looking good and busy. Let's see what we do here. Will we pull into a stall? Will we go around the back, or will we at all? Gonna pull into the front. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? You gonna just stop? Yes, you are. Boom. Perfect. I'm gonna go around the back. Here we go. Gonna have auto park. Park us in that stall. Excellent. Fine job. There we go. Perfect. All right. We have arrived at the Supercharger. I am just going to hop out and get it started and see how our charging goes here. doing? We are ramping up here. I don't think we'll get peak charging because we're already at 16%, so we may break 200 kilowatts here for a minute or so. We'll see. There's also a lot of people at this charger right now. It is quite busy. See right here, we're at 171 kilowatts right now. And again, like I say, I'm at 18%. Yeah, I don't know that I'll get up to 200. Also, you know, if I go to see. Oops. Over there. No. There we go. All right. $371 volts, 406 amps. Yeah, charging rate limited by low battery temperature. Yeah, that's why I thought, it was a pretty short drive here. It's pretty cold outside, not frigid, but in the 30s. And so that just cost us a little bit of charge time there. No biggie. It says we're gonna be there, what do we got? 80%. So let me get back into. We are there. I'm just going to exit service mode now. I can see that we're limited by battery temp. I think I'm going to go grab a coffee for a minute. So I will see you guys back when I get back. All right, folks, took a little break here after charging to catch up on a few social media posts. And now we are off and away, heading home. Took a half hour to charge, which is pretty typical for me, going from, around 10 to 15% up to 80 is somewhere in the 25 to 30-minute range, depending on the temp outside and the warmth of the battery. So tonight, the battery, because the supercharger isn't that far from work, was not fully, pre-warmed up and pre-charged to get us going. So that was a bummer, but it had to spend quite a bit of time doing some extra preconditioning once it got here. All right, we got a safe ride out of the parking lot here at Winco and the Supercharger location. As you can see, as we head up the road here, we got a lot of stuff nearby. There's a Starbucks and a Subway and like a noodle and teriyaki place right there. Plus Winco has some food and bathrooms. And then if you are there for 30 minutes, it only takes about 5 to walk up here to various restaurants that are just up the road from it too. So it's a nice Supercharger to use. It's a V4, which is awesome. It doesn't do anything for this car in terms of faster speed, but it does have the longer cables, which is great, and is generally in good working condition. I've only had one time I showed up and had one stall that was down for a few hours apparently. Yeah, so we got McDonald's right here and Arby's right across the street over here. A Mexican food place called Victorico's right there. And we have some ridiculous legacy car dealerships up here ahead on the right. We also call those graveyards around here because nobody's at them hardly. Got to remember that while Tesla didn't do very spectacularly here in North America, in 2024, car sales overall weren't awesome. You know, standard internal combustion engine sales have been extremely stagnant to down the last couple of years as well. More EVs were sold though than ever in the US last year. Tesla lost a little ground on its competitors, even though it's way ahead of them. I mean, the gap closed somewhat, is the best way to put it. And because some of them were up, since there were more EVs sold, and yet Tesla had less, some companies were up in sales last year on EVs a little bit, about 8% or so. Meanwhile, Tesla was down about 8%. And whether you agree with Elon or not, he has become a more polarizing figure, which means people who are more emotional probably are going to be less likely to buy vehicles. And he has alienated the bulk of the people who are what I would call more environmentally concerned about the environment. And so, there's no doubt there's been negative market share and mind share because of Elon in the past year. As many things as he does right, really off-putting a significant chunk of the base of people who would buy your cars, not his smartest maneuver. Elon's not a perfect man. He's a very smart man, and he's brilliant in certain areas. Social skills and cues with the public and marketing, not his best traits. And again, I'm not talking about whether you agree with his stances on certain things or not. I'm talking about the actual marketing strategy. Alienating a big chunk of the base who would buy your product is poor marketing strategy. Nice move over there for all that merging traffic. Now, will it get back over when it needs to tonight? This is the one thing. When it exits that lane and gets in this lane, it rarely gets back over to the right in time when this highway turns into a city street. So Here it's hanging out instead of getting over. It should be getting over in that lane right now. Right now. Right now. It should be over there. Should not be coming up alongside these cars. It needs to get over. Now it's going to finally jump over one lane, maybe. All right, now can you get over the rest of the way? Now it's got to hit the brakes pretty hard. Will it put its blinker on and move over? It's still camping out here. I don't know why it does this. This is a 3/4 mile long right turn lane. There's no advantage in being in the non-turning lane here. And merging over into that lane, right where there's a merging lane coming in that needs to come across the opposite way, is not a great idea. Thankfully, there's almost zero traffic now that we're well past rush hour here. But, so, you know, didn't cost it at all. But while it managed to get over, there's no reason for it to hang over there in the non-turning lane when it needs to turn until it's almost up to where it doesn't allow you to come back over. And you're in conflict with a bunch of other vehicles. It's just FSD being situationally unaware, essentially. And I don't know how they solve that. You know, they say they're going to get 3 times more context. Is that context going to include more factors, such as traffic pattern history, or more of the details of what it's seen before? You know, because it doesn't really have a memory. It has like this tiny little memory of like the last 10 seconds or something. And that's about it. You know, it doesn't have like a long-term memory to draw from. Maybe part of when it could handle additional context, they can also have another source of information, such as, you know, Waze links or something like fleet data, where fleet data has said, oh, you know, I had problems because I wasn't over, so you should get over here. You know, like cues that build up about like where it struggled to get across to the right lane and things like that. You know, that would be pretty cool if they could build something like that eventually, because so much of what FSD is right now is a kind of what I call read, in other words, see, and react. But see and react isn't what all that humans do when they drive. You know, again, it has more eyes and can process more information at once, but that still means humans have an advantage in some significant areas over it, such as memory of how this road's conditions are, memory of what is the best place positioning to be on a road to ensure safer and smoother and more consistent ability to make the turn you want to make. For instance, you know, it doesn't have human experience per se for specific places. I will say FSD, because it doesn't have the kind of habits of humans, it can make some innovative solutions sometimes to weird driving situations that are safe and cool. Like I've had it find a way out where there was a center median that I wouldn't have thought of, and that was awesome. You know, but I've also had it do its most dangerous things when it's in that kind of creative, I'm gonna find a way to stay on course. When it's made wrong decisions about being in the correct lane early enough and things like that. So, you know, tonight so far, it's been a glorious drive home. And while, like I say, it didn't get over when I would have liked it to, because of the traffic situation, it was able to get away with what it did without any negative repercussions in any way. So we just say it won in that situation, but given that that's the same thing it does when there's heavy traffic, and then it loses in that situation, um, like literally can't get over in time and blocks traffic trying to insist to get its way in, or has to be disengaged and rerouted, or comes in so hot to the heavy traffic that's there that you have to disengage and brake and possibly jog a lane over or something to avoid rear-ending people. So it matters that it doesn't have like really good like memory of certain intersections and the best ways to handle them. That it's just literally relying on what it sees and whatever limited map data it has. Traffic in front of me is flying low. Pop this up a little bit just because we seem to have multiple high-speed drivers in front of me, which means I don't have to worry so much about like the police or anything like that. If anybody's going to get pulled over, it's going to be one of them, since they're moving away from me at 15 over the speed limit or more. If I go 5 or 10 over, it's not going to be a big deal. Not that I usually can get, even in hurry mode. Hurry and standard on this road don't have a lot of difference other than how they'll handle an unprotected left, how much risk they're willing to take for an unprotected left, which is a dumb thing because neither, quite frankly, an unprotected left, hurry should still not take some of the risks it takes. But there's a difference between hurrying and being kind of reckless. And the current edition of hurry is just not smart enough yet to pick its moments for hurrying well a lot of times. Like on the freeway, I love hurry. On city streets and roads, I see hurry usually be late to get in the right lane to make a turn, late for an off-ramp on a highway rather than a freeway, really late, like past where you should actually exit late. Jumping out on unprotected lefts, either in a way that makes traffic have to slow sharply in both directions, so it successfully makes it, but it pisses the people off because you shouldn't have jumped out then, or has literally jumped out when it would have definitely gotten hit. So, and I know I've seen other videos of people with the same thing, FSD just jumping out there on 13X on unprotected left sometimes in ways that make you very, very nervous. Let's see how it does here on this corner. Perfect. Yeah, tonight's drive is a big old win, but there's been almost no traffic. There was some traffic when I was going to the Supercharger, but by the time I left there, because I probably spent about 45 minutes there. Like I say, the charge only took 30, but I was just goofing off there a little. Ah, heading on what is a pretty narrow, no shoulder part of the country road here. Heading up over the lip of Green Mountain and down the other side of that lip. See the guardrail over to the right is actually starting to collapse down the steep hillside there. Here somebody's got their own wall up to protect and fence structure. We are doing great tonight. Man, this is a walk in the park, easy peasy tonight. I mean, we're going through a lot of the same obstacles we always do, but without the traffic that can sometimes cause FSD a little trouble. So, but a beautiful ride home. We are down to 36 now. There's a possibility of snow and freezing rain tonight. So we'll see what tomorrow's commute looks like. Nicely done around that protected left through that corner there. Somebody's hiking through the forest there. And we're smoothly getting up here. Now, how quickly will it get over into this lane? It freaks out because of these cars coming at this angle, because this is the end of the suicide lane. So it's later than I would like getting over there, especially if there's cars coming. Sort of sees them almost like if the cars are ahead of it, right? And going to come into the lane because it is a two-way turn lane. But in reality, it's just the cars that are sweeping over to come past us. So it just has a little interpretation problem with, you know, seeing the cars ahead and not realizing that the lane swerves and they're not coming to get into the lane. Here we go. What you gonna do? You're just gonna park out here? That's the usual. It's only tried to back in once. No, twice. Ah, nice job. All right. Let's watch. Let's see how complex it would be for it to actually pull into the garage. That's something that it can't do right now. Especially because there's a car in the driveway, but there's room to go past it into the garage, and there's a car ahead that it needs to avoid. But see, a human can just sweep out like this, and then hey, look at that! For a change, auto park worked properly. But you can see One of the things that we have is some boxes along one side. So FSD's got to get pretty close here. And it's, it doesn't have, its visual needs more margin than that. So, and we're in. In fact, I'm just going to move the front end over an inch or two. Like that. And we are nice and tight over there. Perfect. Don't need anybody. When we get in on that side of the car, we just pull the car out before we get in right now until we get to that point. So nicely done. Well done, FSD. It's a wonderful drive tonight by 13.2.2. Hopefully we'll see an upgrade to a new version soon that sorts out some of its wrinkles. And in the meantime, it is a pretty spectacular version overall. Thanks for coming along and have a good night.